Today we're unboxing a new, never-used radio from 1955. How this particular radio is both old and new at the same time is an interesting story. I got this radio back around 1990. Someone had found a small group of these, all new and never opened. It is my understanding that the radios came from a closed traveling circus or carnival or something like that. They were given as prizes, as the grand prize, if you knocked down all the pins, or whatever it was. Of course, no one ever did, since the pins were probably bolted down, but they had to have the prizes on hand, just in case. Anyway, they had them on hand until the end, all unopened. The circus, or carnival, closed for good at some point, and the stuff put in storage, where these radios were found eventually by a radio collector who then doled them out to other collectors around the country willing to step up to the price. A rather steep price it was, as I recall, but it was doable, as opposed to knocking down the pins. So I did it, and I don't regret it. And here's one of those radios. The radio is called the Tom Thumb, and the maker was Automatic Radio out of Boston. Tom Thumb, world's smallest, most powerful, personal portable radio, manufactured by Automatic Radio. I really like the idea of this as a time capsule, the idea of owning something that's old, very old, and yet is still brand new. It's like going back in time to open up something that has never been used. When I got it, it was still sealed. I was, of course, tempted to leave it sealed, but I wanted to see it, and if it were still sealed, this wouldn't be much of a video now, would it? The operating instructions inform us that the radio has a, quote, super magna loop antenna built right into the radio. Well, that's good. It tells you how to work the knobs. Great. There's a parts list on the back with prices, so you can order replacement parts if you like. You can even order a whole new plastic cabinet for the radio for $3.50. A new tuning knob will cost you 90 cents. Inside the operating instructions, we get battery installation help, and there's stuff about what to do for service. There's also a schematic diagram in case you want to try a little servicing yourself. And here's the main reason I wanted this radio in my collection. It's a great-looking little radio. And what better way to own a great-looking radio than new in the box? Opening it up this way, I really get a sense of how attractive and cute and stylish it is. It's got that little handle on top that collapses down when you aren't using it, that nice gold tuning knob that uses the luscious finish technique of underpainting. Another feature, and an unusual one on a small radio, is seen with the tuning numbers. They're raised up above the rest of the cabinet and are painted over with gold paint. Man, the way they used to make stuff. I'm not saying better or worse. I'm just saying different. Different than today. Those dial numbers are already starting to show wear just from the padding in the box. Those numbers and the Tom Thumb logo on the front are quick to wear off in use, so used examples of this radio are rarely found without significant loss to these gold areas. Automatic Radio also made a hybrid model of this radio a bit later. Hybrid because it had some transistors in it, in addition to the tubes. Fortunately, I managed to get one of those too from the same source as this one. Where this one's model number is 528, that hybrid is a model TT600. Watch this channel for a video I may make on that one eventually. Inside, the first thing we see is a warning to remove run-down batteries to avoid damage due to leakage. You used to see warnings like that in flashlights all the time, too. Batteries leak, and ruin things. Manufacturers of devices like flashlights and radios grew weary of their customers blaming them for battery failures, and would routinely warn customers to remove their batteries when they weren't going to use the device. No one ever did, of course, because how would you know you weren't going to use the device tomorrow? You didn't, so you left the batteries in there. What are we, fortune tellers, expected to predict the future? Most of the rest that's going on inside here is pretty well covered up. They didn't want you messing around in here, and we're just going to respect that and leave well enough alone. And new is new. If I start unscrewing things and taking stuff apart, well, then it isn't new anymore. I've never even put batteries in this radio to test it, and I don't intend to either. Speaking of new, the printed circuit was still a very new technology when this radio was made, and this radio was one of the first consumer products to have one. Some consumers were quite curious about this new way of wiring things. That may be another reason automatic radio chose to hide it. Curious fingers weren't going to do a printed circuit any good. The label inside the back gives Automatic Radio's address in Boston and just a few other details, like the Emerson 747 I show and discuss in another video. The Tom Thumb takes a C cell for an A battery, and for a B battery uses what looks like a really long 9-volt battery, delivering 45 volts. Here are 4 examples of that tall B battery, branded Emerson, Silvertone, Burgess, and RCA. See that Emerson video for a semi-coherent discussion of what it means to have A batteries and B batteries in a radio. The short takeaway from that is that radios with tubes had to have 2 different types of batteries. This proved to be one of the biggest selling features of the new transistor radios when they appeared in 1954 and 1955. They operated more efficiently on just one type of battery. The Automatic Radio, Tom Thumb.